Do you hear what they're talking about over there? What? Huh? What? What are you talking about? I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Make me a little curious, though. We should go over there. You want to go over there? Yeah, come on, let's go over there. All right, okay, let's go over there.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another fabulous episode of part of Neuvias Whispering at the Party. Welcome, Carol and Margie, my two fabulous women.
Hello.
I am co-hosting today as Alicia Maximo, a part of Neuvias, and the subject that we would love to discuss with everyone today is thoughts on forgiveness. So, to start off, we would love to hear Carol's and Marge's thoughts on forgiveness, but also what does that mean exactly? And delving into the power of forgiveness and exploring releasing the grudges that can lead to personal healing, strengthening communal bonds. And yeah, I just want to hear about any of your own experience that you guys experienced, and let's dive right in.
Okay. You want to start, Marge?
I can start. Sure, I will start. So forgiveness is an interesting topic for a lot of people because people think of forgiving, they want to hold a grudge because they're upset with somebody, or they don't want to forgive them because they think it's going to give them strength. And forgiveness is really not for the person you're forgiving. It's for yourself, so you can be in gratitude for your current situation. Not only should you forgive others, but you also need to remember to give as much grace to yourself. Forgive
Mhm.
yourself for mistakes you've made or for things that you've done that really weren't in alignment with the your true self. Forgiving yourself is sometimes even harder than forgiving other people.
Mhm. Really good point there, Marge. It's really important to take a step back and forgive yourself, also forgive others. I feel like that's the most important way to move forward with forgiveness. Things happen, life's complicated. We're all humans, right? It's easier to forgive and move forward.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I do have my Jesus card here spread today, so I just wanted to
Nice.
start there just to kind of see what, since we are talking about forgiveness, so I got the deck I'm using today is called the Loving Words of Jesus.
Ah, love
So
that.
Nice.
I thought this would really come into play since we are talking on the topic of forgiveness.
Nice. I just heard a Zoom go by. That must be him giving you a confirmation for us today.
Go for it, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, here we
Yeah.
are. So the card is this one here. It's cute. It's little Jesus and a little baby. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And so what that is telling with forgiveness is just it's hard to stay in that mentality of forgive or of not forgiving, as Marge was talking about, and also when you stay in that forgiveness or you stay in that I don't forgive you, you become it's like staying afraid as well. I could tell you with my example of forgiveness, like I've always used to hold grudges and hold that grudge and hold that grudge, and it honestly makes your health go really, really bad. And so I had to eventually come to terms with, I'm making myself sick because I'm not forgiving people because they did me wrong. And, this is my three-dimensional talking all the time. And so as I've grown into the spiritual aspect of it, I know that I just have to forgive whatever I've come to terms with in that moment, because if not, if I continue to hold that, my health will tremendously go down. I've had cancer, so I've had to live and learn that experience from that. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I just feel like it's hard to forgive people sometimes because you want that instant karma, like you did to me so wrong, and I want something to happen, and it doesn't work that way. Everything comes full circle. So it's best to just forgive, because honestly, from your past, you can't change anything. It's said and done in that moment, and you just
Hmm.
have to release it and let it go. And that's why this card, I think, says, let not your heart be troubled.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Forgive and heal and move forward is like you made a really good point, especially about karma, Carol, because I feel like once that forgiveness is forgiven, but you still hold that grudge, it's like, okay, does exist. If this person's going to do me wrong, that's something bad is going to happen to them. But instead of you forcing that to happen, karma will take its place. And no matter what type of situation, I think so. So it's important to let that play out with whoever did whoever wrong, but heal your heart in that process as well, and for the other person, de- depending on what the conflict was, right? So that
Mhm.
perfect card to pull out to take in part is that the healing the heart first and forgiving yourself first is the first step forward. That's the first step forward into forgiveness.
Yeah. I think it's important to understand that everybody's working from their own perspective and perception of things.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very rarely would anybody be doing something purposefully evil. I'm going to put
Mm-hmm.
that in quotes because I think the word's used strangely. But um, um, you know, you'll have things back from when you were a child that somebody did to you, but from
Mm-hmm.
their perspective, it was the best thing for them to do. For
Mm-hmm.
them, maybe not for you, but for them to do. And maybe they were protecting themselves from something. And
Mm-hmm.
finding the forgiveness and understanding that everybody's doing the best they can. We are
Right.
all here for a very, very short time in the big scheme of
Yeah.
things. And
Right.
not everybody's on the same level.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We all have different perspectives, and that's what makes things uh, so interesting in this world.
Right. Right, exactly, Marge. I like the term to love and to be loved. And that has a lot to do with the forgiveness part and the healing of the heart is because we all wear our sleeves or our heart on our sleeve. So when we are in front of a person or in those past experiences and we're expected to be like given the same love that we're given or we're that's like vice versa and that doesn't match the frequency of that love, it's like, oh, whoa, I'm doing way too much. I'm loving this person way too hard. They're not getting it back to me. How do I forgive that person? But again, it's like we all come from all different forms of life with all different loves in our heart that we want to share with others. So I really like the concept of adding the love and the connection into that process. I was going to ask Carol, do you have another card that we can pull? Maybe it has something to do with love and forgiveness as well.
Absolutely. Let's see what it does entail. Mary Disc has pointed out the power that lays within forgiving ourselves affects those that we are connected to. So that
Yes.
is very good insight. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, very good point, Murray.
But yes, let's see, sweetheart, what we got. With God, all things are possible.
There
Amen.
we go. Amen.
That's why I say you forgive. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at it, Jesus had to forgive you people who were just doing their journey, and whether it was a good journey or bad journey, we
Mhm.
all have to live and learn and grow from that experience. So
Right.
um, it's a little hard when God, all things are possible. Some people think that whatever you think or whatever you're saying, that's not real, but it's how
Mhm.
you are perceiving that intention, is whether it's going to work for you or and benefit you in the long run or not. So like I always say, we could be our worst enemy at that point.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. I'd like to
right.
point out too that if you're holding a grudge and you're staying angry, not only does it affect your health, like Carol said, significantly, stress is a significant impact on all sorts of health issues. And anger is stressful. That's just all
Mhm.
there is to it. But when you're talking about forgiving someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that you understand what or they understood what you were doing, um, how that was impacting, how each person's perspective was impacting the
Mhm.
others. And just having that forgiveness in your heart releases the situation from you. If you're reliving it over and over, you're reliving it every time you're thinking about planning this um, getting back at somebody, or just rehashing the memory of the situation, and it can actually change in your mind. And if you know about the law of attraction, that's not something you want to keep in your life, because you will
Right.
keep getting it over and over and over until you learn how to release it. And the only
Hmm.
way to release it is to forgive it and let it be in the past. And you don't know their journey,
Hmm. You
just like they
don't,
don't know yours.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when people go down that revenge path, you either go left or right. And
Yeah.
usually, depending on what path that goes down, it doesn't really look pretty when you get to the edge there, right? So
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with you on that one, Marge. Very good point. Very good point. Um, I like to point out a comment that Omni Collective made where it says, the God in you is the God in me, is the God in everyone, which is so true and totally
Yeah.
relates to what the subject we're speaking about today is because God is in all of us. We're all God-like in our spiritual beings and to our building into our higher selves. And I feel like sometimes when you are interacting with humans that you don't really know their background or know about their perception or their perspective about life in general, it's really good to keep in mind we're all really cut from the same cloth, especially when it comes to different religions and cultures. We're all here representing a godlike being, and that's so important to remember while we're forgiving and while we're going through that process and that journey.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to add too to the forgiveness. Like, I know, even though we're talking about this, and as we move forward on our journey, we sometimes do step back into that somebody did you wrong, and maybe it wasn't their intention, but that's exactly what happened. So then you come
Mhm,
back in that state of, oh, I'm so mad. Like, why would they, and then you're holding that grudge instantly again. And
mhm,
so in that moment, you have to remind yourself, like, everything's already said and done. Just let it be. Things will fall into
mhm,
play the way that they're supposed to. So,
mhm,
That's true. Everybody's a
mhm.
time traveler.
Yeah. Exactly. Time traveling, time jump,
Yeah.
you know,
Going back to
without.
that unpleasant situation
Mhm.
over and over, it just puts it deeper into your psyche.
Right, right. And sometimes I feel like when certain things or certain, like, I would say obstacles happen to us, and then we look back and like we look back into the or into the past, and then where we are now, saying, "Oh, that's why that person did this to me, and that's why I'm here now," but more in of a positive aspect.
mhm,
When we're
Right.
in it and that happens, it's like, why is this happening? Why is this person breaking up with me? Why is this person treating me this way? And it's all has to do with God and your angels guiding you out of that loop
Yep.
into your higher self,
mhm.
or forgiving yourself to be of being in that current situation, and then being in the now of like, oh, that's a lesson that I had to learn to be here now. I forgive that person, don't want to hold a grudge. Let's move forward into life. Let's move
Yeah.
forward down the path that God has built for me. So yeah, very interesting process when it comes to the learning lessons and the obstacles and the forgiveness part, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm. Right,
It's
right, right.
amazing how things like if you get fired from your job, or uh,
Hmm.
break up with
Yeah.
somebody, how if you look back, you're going to want to call them and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I learned this, this, and this, and this is where I am now. And my life is beautiful.
Yeah,
Even if your life isn't
exactly.
that beautiful, in your perception at the moment, you
Hmm.
still can see the benefit of all the things that have happened as a cascade effect. The
Hmm.
universe sets things up beautifully, always for your good. Always.
Always, right? Yes. I wanted to ask you guys both a question. When it comes to being comfortable and uncomfortable with a certain situation, or again, like holding on to that comfort, relating to Margie, what you said about holding on to a job and getting fired, do you guys have any experiences in that end where you had to get very uncomfortable at first to get to where your new path is currently at the moment? Because I have many stories about that process. But I just wanted to hear from you ladies, and any type of past experience that was like a revelation to you of like, oh, this happened. I forgive myself, moving on. But how do you balance between like having that comfort or holding down that comfort that helps your nervous system and calms down your nervous system, but also putting yourself in a, or the universe, I would say, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position to get more access to your higher self and onto a different path.
I would probably say now with me, I have had to learn about forgiveness for them, but also for myself. Because if I forgive them and not forgive myself, it's a two way
Hmm.
street. So I know I've been like I think I've said before in the past that I've been in a very abusive relationship, and you think in your mindset that that is love, and that's the only love that you're ever truly going to find.
Hmm.
And when you come to realization like this is not love, and then you're so angry and so hurt and you're so distraught and you just want the worst for that person, you have to understand that it's a learning curve. It was all a learning experience.
Mhm.
It was not a very pleasant one, but it was a learning experience. And the way I've always perceived it is you live it, you learn it, you've grown from that, and you've grown in strength within that as well. And you move on and you let it go. But like I said, in the end, you have to forgive yourself as well as the other person.
Mm.
Yeah. So Frankie's said, I'm going to go ahead and read this since it just popped up.
Okay.
How do you forgive on a broader scale, such as your government or societal institutions? Good point. Particularly when public energy may be in a frequency of seeking whom to blame. Yeah, we play that blame game a lot in society, and
Yeah.
um, I at my age and with my journey, I have learned that all things work out the way they're supposed to work out. We had last time, our last podcast was about divine timing, and
Yes.
it, it really just is. And all the things that go on in the government, what is it going to help you to be upset about it? No. Is it going to change the situation to be upset about it? No.
No.
So why are you raising your blood pressure, adding to that energy of anger in the world by
Hmm.
being upset about it instead of throwing love at it? One of these days, I know we're going to get a bunch of us together and we're going to do some energy transference, putting love out, yeah, focused love on certain situations, and it will make an impact.
Mhm.
But if you're throwing anger out there, that makes an impact too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And not only that, that's exactly what we're be putting out there into the world. Like if everybody's so angry and so instill fear in themselves, then that's exactly all the energy that's going to be put out there.
Yeah.
So I know it's funny, Marge. I used to tell my friends like this all the time. Like, I will not live in fear. You are not going to let me. You're not going to make me live in fear because of the politics going on. I don't
Yeah.
care about the left. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say I don't care, but you have your lefties and you have your righties. Okay, but then there's all of us. There's all of us that can come together.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a challenging experience coming from the elections and going forward right now. And I'm honestly, I just try to go with it, and just we can't change anything. At the end of the day, you can't
Right.
change anything.
You can write a
Hmm.
letter, you can make a phone call. If you voted, you
Mhm.
voted. That's all you can do. And
Yeah.
then put love out there and try to help people that are going through this anxiety with these situations and
Hmm.
feeling angry and not forgiving, understanding that everybody's got a different perspective. And
Right. Right.
I don't want to get too far into the politics. I feel myself pulling into the Carol right left thing because
Oh no.
90% of us are not angels or devils. 90% of us are both of those things all the time. You know, you
Yeah.
have your little you know, jabby piece. You know, I'm a sarcastic person in my personal relationships. I could get very sarcastic, but not meanly sarcastic, you know.
Right.
And some people don't like that and it makes them upset. I'm a very
Hmm.
strong person. I've got opera training, so I've got a very strong voice. It can very much intimidate people, not intended to.
Hmm.
And if I can try to throw as much love into my voice as I possibly can, it really it does impact on a positive note everybody around.
Yeah. Very, very good point, Marge. I feel like since we've got to know you, we love that side of your personality, right? But people that are like new to you, it's going to take them a minute to learn how to operate with you. But you're an amazing woman. I honestly think so. I think you and Kara both are just shining and like doing your own thing as women, which I really inspire to be. But I want to get back to the conversation about the comment of the forgiving the government and the politics. It's like when you have that anger and that frequency, especially here in the United States, um, we have the privilege of not feeding into that anger or feeding into that frequency, which is really powerful for us to do. And I feel like a lot of people now are catching on to a peaceful frequency where they're like, okay, this is happening, let me move my family to another country, or let me move my family to another government that is more feasible, right? Or that fits their home lifestyle. So I feel like a lot of people are, yes, it's the fear mindset. Everyone's watching the news, but I feel like the frequency's changing where it's like, okay, this doesn't really, I don't have really control over this, but I have control over my life. So let
Mhm.
me adapt to whatever journey that is meant for me and remove myself from this frequency, or just don't turn on the news. Like, be informed, but don't feed too much into it, right? And
Right.
I feel like as a collective, we can forgive the people that are at that frequency or that are struggling trying to balance that out, as far as like the opinions and their perception of what's going on in our country. But it's just up to us to not live in that fear, and love ourselves and forgive ourselves and forgive others that are kind of trying to get through that frequency and get to their higher self and not live in fear. So I think as a collective, we are powerful and we will make it through the next, what,
Mhm.
4 years, right? We're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is working towards the good too because it's waking people up. More and more
Yes.
people are realizing
Hmm.
that you don't have to buy into all the fear mongering and
Hmm.
forgiving the people that are doing that because that's their job to make
Yes.
everybody fearful because that makes them money. You know, it's
Hmm.
just it's just it's kind of crazy. But if you have compassion for these people and you
Hmm.
forgive them and then you don't embody that energy, like you said, that frequency is really destructive
Mhm.
to people that are not able to separate themselves from it. Uh, the forgiveness is really, really important.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
too that eventually the truth will come to the light. I mean, a lot of the truth is coming to the light. I
Oh,
think.
Good.
it always is.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. Eventually, as time goes on and things just start getting exposed, aliens start popping out of nowhere, it's coming. Right? That's going
Mhm.
to be a shock to the world, of course, but I
Now,
feel like
by the time
eventually.
by the time it's international news, that so many people will already understand and
Hmm.
will have experienced that it's not going to be a shock. You
Yeah.
know, and that's just like with oh, we're getting way off subject. Let's go back to forgiveness.
It's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, oh, what's Mary saying here? The ego, solar plexus energy, loves to personalize the experience at hand. However, we can use free will to create a space by using our awareness to shift our perspective. That's true.
Mhm.
Very true.
Yes.
And we tend to do this by putting ourselves in other people's shoes for a moment. It
Hmm.
does create a higher compassion for the individual.
Mhm.
Absolutely, Mary. Thank you very much for the comment. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, finding that compassion and doing that forgiveness it really makes a big difference in every aspect of your life.
Hmm. It
It
really
also.
does.
You
Like,
breathe easier, you sleep easier,
Mhm.
everything,
yeah.
life gets better. Sorry, Carol, I
Hmm.
interrupted you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say because with that, then I was just gonna add that everything falls into place. Like your life becomes so much more peaceful, and you're in such a Zen mode. Like you're just like,
Hmm.
yeah, everything's going on around you, but at the same token, it's how you're perceiving it, and you just go with the flow. Like you forgive everything that's going on, and just let it go, and just stay in your Zen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I giggled in the middle of that because I had a little flashback to like 20 years ago when I was talking to this guy and I said, really calm, it's okay. You don't have to be this upset. You don't have to be this angry. calm down. And I was trying to, give him a little breathing lesson and trying to calm him down. He goes, "We don't all have the golden fleece like you, Margie." And I thought,
Oh, you had those wings out, Margie.
yeah, he was so upset. Poor thing.
Yes, yes, yes. Stay in your zen. Nuvia's
Yeah.
t-shirt designs, print it. Yes, yes, Haleigh. Stay in your zen is the best motto to go with right now. And of course, back to what Margie was speaking of, like is to having that empathy and putting yourselves in those people's shoes in that moment, but not being too attached to that feeling, right? Like you could understand, you could calm them down. You could understand where they're coming from, give them some advice, some helpful advice, of course, but not being too attached with that emotion. And I feel like with people that are empaths they really struggle with that type of attaching and detaching that type of energy. But I think it's so forgiving. When I meet empaths or people that are really in tune with people's emotions that affect them, I'm very like, okay, let's figure this out, right? You don't need to attach to my emotions, but let's have a full conversation. Forgive, forgive, forgive.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a class on that attachment and detachment
Yeah.
because it's a skill that you have to practice.
Hmm.
Forgiveness is
Definitely.
actually a skill as well.
Yes.
So,
I was going to say that
So
would be
true.
a good T-shirt too, Alicia. Forgive, forgive, forgive.
yeah,
Yes. Right. There we go. There's another Nuvias t-shirt. Merch coming soon from Nuvias.
soon, soon.
Oh, that's so funny. Shall we pull another card?
Yes, I was just thinking about that. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. Yeah, this deck is actually very wonderful. Just if you're needing some insight and you're just at a little rut or something, I mean, it just really speaks to you in depth. Even if it's just a little quote, it speaks to you in depth from the Bible. Ask and it shall be given to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go.
Can
Like the lights.
you
And,
get closer a little bit to the screen there, Carol?
there you go.
It's
Oh,
shiny.
there we go.
I love those
Yes.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Jesus is a
Ask
little
and it
bit.
shall be given. Yes.
That's a good point too. Asking for forgiveness from others
Mhm.
can also release you from some of your anxiety around situations.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. And also I think with the forgiveness too, this one saying ask and it shall be given to you. So if you're like March said, if you're asking forgiveness, then you might get you'll get a sense of peace within for sure.
Hmm.
So it's like a give and take. So the yin and yang of our lives.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all like a cycle, giving, receiving, but with the intention of not expecting that receiving, right? It's all a balance,
A
so it's all a
balancing act.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, right? But I love that card. Like when you ask for something, we talk about manifestation a lot as well. When you're manifesting, you're asking God, you shall receive, but it's also important to keep the intention behind what you're asking for. And also, like Margie said, asking for that forgiveness. Like, please forgive me for what I have done to this person. Let's move forward, right? Like, if
Mhm.
you think you're at fault, don't hold the grudge within yourself. Ask for that forgiveness and you shall be forgiven.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
you can
Just go ahead,
sorry.
Carol.
I was
No,
just gonna
you're fine.
You can also do that instantly because I can tell you sometimes when I'm driving, especially in Texas, everybody goes 100 miles an hour and they're tailgating you and you're just cursing out left and right and sideways. And you're like, oops, I didn't mean that. I forgive them. I'm forgiving myself. So you can do that immediately too. Just
Yeah,
out there.
that's true. It doesn't have to be a big production. Yep.
Right? Oh, I love it. So are we closing out on the 30-minute loop here, or are we going for a full 60 minutes? What do you guys think?
I think 30 is okay. I mean,
30
do we
is
have a
okay?
lot more to say on the subject? We could talk. The three of us could talk for hours,
Of
but
course.
to stay on subject might be a little challenging.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can close out in the 30, but yeah, I want to leave some last minute pointers. I love the subject for today. It's so important, and for myself and my experience to forgive myself and forgive others from my past, and then heading into my future, into the higher self. I've been manifesting plenty of nights, and just keeping that reminder of where I'm going, where I'm headed, and forgiving myself for my past relationships and conflicts and moving forward. So, to our audience here, everything's going to be fine. Life is life in, but as long as you forgive yourself and forgive others, anything good in your life can happen.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
And I do want to close out with a card since we're in the close. So this one says, "Seek your first kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you."
Yes,
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah.
Perfect card to end the podcast for today. I love that, Carol.
oh,
You're so amazing with the cards. I feel like every time your power touches the tarot cards, they just
there's the
come up
spirit.
with the existence and the spirits. I love it. Yes.
Did you hear your spirit guides messing with their lights again?
Yeah.
Every podcast.
Every
Yes.
podcast, they're like, "Hey, we're here. We're with you."
Yes. Yes, I so enjoyed this synergy of the your expertise with the tarot cards, because they're just so on brand, and they really I feel like they really resonate with us, but also our audience as well. So thank you, Carol, for pulling that really powerful card.
Thank you.
Yes,
And thank you,
March,
Alicia, for
any
doing such a great job with the
of
podcast. You're
course, of
awesome.
course.
We
Yeah.
love your
Thank you,
energy
thank you.
too.
March, any divine woman closing statements that you wanted to leave us out with?
Nothing other than the forgive, forgive, forgive. That is absolutely it. It's the
I
way
like
to
that
live.
one too. Exactly. Be in your zen and forgive, and keep moving forward with your life and on the journey of to your higher self. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Marge,
Thank
and love the Nuvias team, and see you guys next week on Whispering at the Party.